Just ahead on CTV News tonight, police arrest 2 teens in the senior skip day shooting. Plus, early voting starts on Thursday. We have all the details you need to know to cast your ballot. And PGPD has new resources to help improve their interaction with autistic children.
The Prince George's Police Department receives a new tool to better support children with autism. I'm Katara Jones. I'll have more on that story coming up on CTV News.
CTV News starts now.
Good evening, I'm Mariah Jalad.
And I'm Byron Scott with the CTV News Update. Thanks for joining us tonight. Well, 2 Bowie High School teenagers have been arrested in connection with the senior skip day shooting in Greenbelt earlier this month. The suspects, 14 and a 16-year-old, have been charged as adults. A bond hearing was held this afternoon for the 16-year-old. He was ordered held without bond. You'll recall 5 teens were shot on April 19th at Shram Hill Park in Greenbelt at an unsanctioned senior day event. Some 500 students had assembled for the celebration. Body cam vid shows the moment the shots rang out. Witnesses helped identify the 2 teens who were picked up yesterday by federal marshals.
Over the past several days, law enforcement from all levels of government, like the sheriff said, the collaboration has been amazing. We've all come together to partner and work around the clock to get these violent offenders off of the streets.
These 2 individuals have been charged as adults. As with any serious offense, especially those that potentially carry life sentences like attempted first-degree murder, these cases will be taken seriously. This case will continue to be, or these cases will continue to be investigated and will be presented to a grand jury.
The 5 teens who were shot have all been released from the hospital. Well, in Maryland, voting for the 2024 presidential primary election takes place May 14th, but early voting begins this Thursday, May 2nd. Prince George's has 11 early voting locations across the county for you to cast your ballot. Polling locations will be open from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. And for those who have not registered, officials say it's not too late. You can go to your local voting site with ID and register to vote. Early voting ends on May 9th.
Well, the CDC reports that about 1 in 36 children are on the autism spectrum. And statistics also show that autism is 4 times more common in boys than girls.
As we wrap up Autism Awareness Month, the Maryland-based foundation is providing county police with new resources that were created to improve interactions with autistic children and officers. CTV's Katara Jones has more.
April is Autism Awareness Month, and the Hussman Institute for Autism is partnering with Prince George's Police to provide 500 autism sensory kits. Now, these kits right here are designed to better support Prince George's police officers when they encounter a child in crisis with autism.
These kits are meant to assist officers and crisis intervention teams in situations involving people with autism and related disabilities.
These are autism sensory kits created by the Hussman Institute for Autism. Today, 500 of these kits were donated to county police.
Helping our officers understand the unique needs of autistic children and providing these sensory kits can help create a more supportive interaction under traumatic circumstances.
We know they're being used across the country in myriad ways to de-escalate situations, to support communication, and to provide comfort.
Officials say the kits are an important tool for autistic children and the first responders that interact with them. The kits include an autism tip sheet, an ID card, a plush toy, a pair of headphones, and even a stress ball.
Some people with autism may be non-speaking or limited in their ability to communicate, and still others may be escalated or restless when their routines are broken. So in addition to the guidance documents that we've put in these kits on how to assist people with autism in emergency situations, the kits include items that can increase critical communication and provide comfort.
Chief Malik Aziz says county officers on numerous occasions have encountered residents with autism.
This is a very valuable kit is just as valuable as any tool that we have. So we're going to make sure that they are protected. And if that's in the car, in certain situations, so they can be readily accessible, or if it's in one of our divisions spread out throughout the county.
Officials say the sensory kits have been donated to police departments across Maryland, including in Anne Arundel, Howard, and even on the Eastern Shore. Katara Jones, CTV News.
And for more details on the kits, visit the website on your screen. And county police are investigating a fatal shooting on April 22nd. Police responded to the 1000 block of Kennebec Street in Oxon Hill. That's where they found 16-year-old DeMarco Bradford of Washington, D.C. and a second victim suffering from gunshot wounds. They were both transported to an area hospital. Bradford died of his injuries several days later. The second victim's injuries are not considered life-threatening. And police are asking anyone with information regarding this case to call 301-516-2512.
And the new Maryland State Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Carrie Wright, announces the creation of a task force to assess academic achievement. Wright says that members of this group will include local superintendents, principals, and higher education representatives. They'll provide recommendations on how to better assess how students are doing in the classroom. The State Board of Education voted last week to appoint Wright as State Superintendent of Schools. She will serve a 4-year term receiving an annual salary of $360,000.
And TSA PreCheck just got an upgrade. This morning, TSA announced it will now offer Clear as its third office PreCheck option. Travelers can renew their TSA PreCheck memberships online with Clear, IDEMIA, or Telos. Clear CEO Karen Seidman Becker says Clear provides a fast and efficient airport experience. So far, PreCheck with Clear will only be available at 3 participating airports, including Sacramento International, Newark Liberty International, and Orlando International.
Be alert, that's the message the EasyPass Group is issuing to all EasyPass customers. A text messaging scam is on the run, targeting customers of tolling agencies across the U.S. The scam aims to trick users into entering their personal data and financial information into a fake website. EasyPass warns customers to delete the text immediately and don't click on the link. The FBI issuing a public service announcement warning of a wave of fraudulent SMS text attempting to scam toll road users. And still to come on CTV News, we'll tell you how one city is fighting back against Mother Nature.
And the University of Maryland announces its keynote commencement speaker. Those stories and more after the break.
What would you do for clean water? For over 700 million people around the world, the answer is literally anything. Walk for hours, stop going to school, sacrifice sleep, health, money, and time, all for water that's not even safe to drink. It doesn't have to be this way. This is a problem we can solve together. Charity Water has been doing this for almost 2 decades now. We brought clean water to tens of millions of people. We prove every project and the difference it makes. With access to clean water, everything changes. Clean water instantly improves health, creates new opportunities, and reverses cycles of poverty. It can transform entire communities. Join Charity Water in our mission to end the global water crisis. Visit charitywater.org today.
Welcome back. In the last month, the Prince George's County Office of the Sheriff has made 45 arrests of suspects with open warrants in domestic violence crimes. The arrests were a part of the office's warrant operation initiative called Project Guardian. The project's focus was targeting offenders of domestic and family violence, and the initiative arrested individuals charged with first-degree murder, first-degree assault, kidnapping, and more. In total, the Office of the Sheriff closed 48 warrants since March.
The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development has awarded Maryland nearly $69 million for homeless services across the state. The funds come from the department's Continuum of Care program, which allocated more than $3 billion nationwide. In Maryland, the money will go to support housing and services for Marylanders experiencing homelessness. The state also received additional funding for projects that support domestic violence survivors. The Continuum of Care program provides grants to nonprofits, states, local governments, and Indian tribes for permanent and short-term housing assistance. And after years of devastating and deadly floods, Ellicott City is set to break ground on the extended North Tunnel, an underground flood mitigation system.
The tunnel is expected to push 26,000 gallons of water per second from the north end of the city to the Patapsco River. Capitol News Service reporter Ricky Podgorski has the story.
It was something that I never thought that I would experience in my entire lifetime.
Ellicott City was underwater.
I've never seen such devastation.
The floods of 2018 were catastrophic for Doug Yakey and his business Easy Pops, located on the top of the hill on Main Street of Ellicott City.
We lost all of our merchandise, we lost all of our equipment, we lost our entire livelihood, had absolutely no income whatsoever, so it was pretty devastating.
Floods have threatened Ellicott City for years now, 2006, 11, 16, 18, and many more.
And then after the 2018 flood, I think there was a realization that we are seeing an increasing frequency and intensity of storm and weather-related events.
Howard County officials began working on strategies to prevent future flooding. But Howard County Executive Calvin Ball says
it became apparent that we needed to do something different.
And that is the extended North Tunnel, a mile-long, 18-foot wide underground tunnel transporting stormwater away from the city.
Stormwater would start here at the top of the hill on Main Street, but would get trapped between the tight corners of the buildings at the base of the hill. But now, the extended North Tunnel is set to move 26,000 gallons of water per second, all the way from here to the Patapsco River.
So lowering the velocity and the volume of water will actually save lives, and it'll save property.
The tunnel is expected to cost around $140 million, but Ball says it will be worth the investment, not just for Ellicott City businesses and residents, but as a model for the world.
But there will be people around the entire world who are dealing with flooding who will look and see how we manage this as a model.
Tunnel construction in Ellicott City is set to begin in the early summer. And Yakey says he's glad to see flood solutions in the works, so he and the small businesses on Main Street never have to experience that devastation again.
I am glad to see that things are happening, and hopefully we don't ever have to see how well they work.
Ricky Podgorski, CNS TV.
Along with the construction of the tunnel, 4 buildings are removed at the base of Main Street to allow easier flow of water. Tunnel construction is expected to take 3 to 4 years. Well, governors from 48 states, including Maryland, are urging the Biden administration not to incorporate the National Guard service into the Space Force. The Defense Department has proposed transferring some Air National Guard personnel and equipment to the Space Force. Governor Westmore has signed on to the letter in opposition to the Defense Department's plan. The proposal would shift roughly 700 National Guard members to Space Force as part of a one-time transfer. The governors say the measure would hurt governors' abilities to use the National Guard in response to crises.
And a Prince George's County Circuit judge is having her own day in court for her alleged harassment of a colleague and for sharing confidential materials from the investigation into her conduct. Investigative counsel from the Commission on Judicial Disabilities argued that Judge April Ademiloye, quote, relentlessly harassed another county circuit judge by sending him repeated unwanted texts and emails. The commission is also recommending discipline against Ademiloye on another set of charges, including refusing training, showing bias toward defendants, and antagonizing staff and colleagues. The hearing continues this week.
A Capitol Heights man is charged with possessing and distributing child pornography. 57-year-old Timothy Walton has been charged with 4 counts of possession and 1 count of distribution after a months-long investigation. The Maryland Engineer Crimes Against Children Task Force started the investigation last November, and yesterday police served a search warrant at his residence. Walton is in the custody of Maryland State Police. And the Maryland Department of Transportation is accepting applications for grants that fund bicycling infrastructure projects around the state. The Kim Lamphere Bikeways Grant Program is awarding up to $2 million for projects that build bicycling networks, including better connecting trails and roads and enhancing last-mile connections to work, school, shopping, and transit. The grant application will be open through the end of May.
And Governor Wes Moore will lead the University of Maryland at College Park's commencement May 20th. The university's president, Darrell Pines, says he's honored that UMD's graduates will have the opportunity to learn from Governor Moore, who's a U.S. Army vet, graduate of Johns Hopkins University, Oxford University Rhodes Scholar, and author of a New York Times bestseller. Governor Moore says he looks forward to sharing reflections on his life and service with this year's graduates. The ceremony will take place at 6 p.m. at SecU Stadium to celebrate summer and fall 2023 and spring 2024 graduates. And still to come on CTV News.
This question, are you a Henry? Certified financial planner Ernest Burley is here. There he is in the studio to explain what it is.
Back in a moment.
It's almost time for Maryland's primary election.
Here's all you need to know to make sure that your voice is heard.
If you're eager to get to the polls, early voting starts May 2nd and lasts until May 9th.
Beat the rush, or just vote at a time that works for you.
Polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. You'll be able to cast your vote as long as you're in line by 8 p.m.
Find your local early voting location at vote.md.gov/vote2024.
Well, you might be earning a huge income, but where do your dollars go?
Are you a Henry? Joining us for another Money Matters segment is, and to explain what is a Henry, is financial advisor Ernest Burley from Burley Insurance and Financial Services. So, Mr. Burley, tell us, what is a Henry?
A Henry is an acronym. It stands for High Earner, Not Rich Yet. And that's a real thing. Some people are making a lot of money, $80,000, $100,000, $200,000 a year, but they don't have anything to show for it. What appreciable assets do you have versus what are you wearing or driving? Do you have property, your 401k, IRA, are your children set up? So things that you can look at and say, okay, this is what my money went towards.
So are they not saving, not budgeting, or all the above?
Kind of all of the above. They're becoming a creep. And a creep is another acronym. I'm not going to. It stands for continuously raising expenses every paycheck. So that's a natural human thing. You get more money coming in and you end up spending it some way or another. So that really, really messes up your situation regarding your finances because you're spending additional money coming in when you could be saving that money.
So how do you avoid that? How do you avoid taking in a bigger income but still not being able to save any money?
You get yourself a pilot, right? So
another acronym?
Yeah, not really. I mean autopilot. So you put things on autopilot. You create an actual budget and create a savings plan, and you put that savings plan on autopilot.
So how can a person sort of get on track? I mean, you have a lot of money coming in and you're not used to it. You want to spend, spend, spend. How does one rein themselves in?
Yeah, that's how you do it. You get that budget and you put things on autopilot. Certain things, every 2 weeks, have your money going into your retirement plan at work. Also have money going into your savings account or brokerage account, your children's savings, your emergency savings. So have things set up on autopilot so you don't have to do it proactively. It's automatically being done from your paycheck every 2 weeks or every month or what have you.
I see. So what are the things that people are spending money on that's taking away from what would be going to those savings?
Everything. So, people buy a bigger house, you get more money coming in, you get a bigger house, you get a nicer car, you buy more clothes, you eat out more, you do a lot more shopping, you go travel more. So sometimes people receive large sums from individuals or they get a raise. It depends on how much it is, but people end up finding a way to spend that extra money when you want to try and save some of it,
Talk to us a little bit about brokerage accounts.
So a brokerage account is basically an investment account used to invest in certain securities in hopes of increasing it over time, right? Once you've tapped out your tax qualified plans, open up a brokerage account to try to continue your efforts of saving for the future.
Okay, so is there anything special that I should know about that type of account?
Yeah, there are two things you should know. A brokerage account is not a tax qualified plan, so any interest, dividends, realized capital gains will be taxable to you, right? So that's one thing you really want to know about those accounts. And also, they don't have beneficiaries. So I always recommend clients when they have a retail brokerage account to add a TOD to that brokerage account for sure.
TOD, another acronym. Tell us what that is.
This is the day of the acronyms, right? So TOD stands for transfer on death. So basically, it's a way for you to add beneficiaries onto a brokerage account that would not have those beneficiaries otherwise.
Okay, so I've heard of this other acronym, POD. Sounds similar. Is it similar?
Into the acronym. Well, so that stands for payable on death, and those are basically it's a way for you to add beneficiaries onto your bank accounts, right? So TOD is brokerage accounts, POD for bank accounts for the most part.
Do you suggest that people get a money manager after making certain amounts of money in annual income? Do you suggest that?
Yeah, it depends on how familiar and comfortable they are with managing money. Some people are really good at it, but that's like the vast minority of the country. So if you're not familiar with how to manage your resources and invest properly, allocate your portfolio, then yeah, you should hire somebody who has expertise in doing that.
And how do you know what to look for? How do you know that that's the right agent for you?
Look for some alphabet soup. That's one of the things. So, see, I have another acronym on it. It's called the choir. We'll go over this another time, but make sure they have credentials, right? So I'm going to go over it. Credentials is the C. The H in choir stands for hours of experience. How long have they been doing it? The O stands for objective, so make sure they're not trying to cram something down your throat. The I stands for independent, so make sure they have access to various resources for you. And the R stands for regulated, so make sure they're singing from the choir.
Okay,
Thank
all right.
you.
Well, thank you for joining us once again. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Individuals should contact their own financial professional and attorneys to help answer questions about specific situations or needs before taking any action based on this information. And now, Simon Buggs here with your sports preview for this Tuesday.
And I hear there's some softball action yesterday.
What's going on, sports fans? And coming right up, some highlights from 2 high school softball games that were played yesterday. Stay right there, you don't want to miss this.
My name is RM, the leader of the group BTS. When I start feeling lost, I remember the words, love yourself, speak yourself. It might feel like it's always night and we'll always be alone, but the night is always darkest before the first light of dawn. Now, more than ever, we must try to remember who we are and face who we are. We must try to love ourselves and imagine the future.
Life goes on. 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 Life goes on.
Life goes on. Let's live on.
Going on, everybody? Get pumped because it's time for your Tuesday Sports Page. We begin with some news from the world of softball. The softball regular season continued yesterday as the Flowers and Wise high school teams matched up against each other, and both teams made some nice plays during the game. In this first highlight, Flowers pitcher Robbie Pickett showed off her skills as she threw 2 straight strikes after throwing one earlier to make it 3 and stopping a potential run for the Lady Pumas. And shortly after, when bases were loaded for Flowers, number 3 Avery Levy had a nice hit that resulted in her teammates Madison Emmerway and Gabrielle Ruiz scoring runs for the team. Fast forward to the next time Wise was on offense, the Lady Pumas did a good job on capitalizing on some mistakes from Flowers as a missed catch by Flowers' catcher led to a free run to home plate for the Lady Pumas. But while Wise made some nice plays offensively, they still had a hard time stopping the Lady Jaguars offense. And in this play, this hit from Pickett not only resulted in an RBI for her team, but it was also a homer as well that added another 2 runs to the Lady Jaguars total for the game. And while Wise was able to score more runs during the game, like this one here, they weren't able to keep up with Flowers as they were routed by the Lady Jaguars 21-5. Meantime, over in Lanham, the Duval and Suitland high school teams took the field also. The Lady Tigers made some good plays during the matchup, such as this single hit by catcher Ogana Azeh that resulted in a run for shortstop Alexa Belmar. Duval scored another run shortly after thanks to another good hit, this time by Esmeralda Adelanga, that resulted in an RBI. And Suitland's offense began to make some plays also, like this single hit by a Lady Ram, which eventually led to the team scoring one of their first runs of the afternoon. Although Suitland's offense started to get into more of a groove later in the game, it was too late as the Lady Rams fell short of a comeback, and Duval came out on top in this one, 16-6. And sticking with softball news, Bladensburg won a close game against Laurel, 14-11, and Oxon Hill blew out Crossland, 35-0. Switching gears to more high school sports news, the Bowie High School baseball team was one of the best teams in the county this season at 13-3. And a large reason for that is because of head coach Gorman Johnson and how much of an effect he's had on his players and the improvements they made in their game. I talked to some of the players from the team and asked about how Coach Johnson helped them elevate their game, and here's what they had to say.
He's helped me a lot, my hitting, pitching, catching, everything. He's given me, when I moved out here, he gave me a good shot, bring me out, just give me a good chance to come out and play.
He's helped me a lot. Remember last year, my mechanics were flawed, catching both and pitching, and he's helped me a lot improve since then.
I think he's motivated all of us. It starts in practice. Playing hard in practice, so translate in the game is pretty good.
He's really, guided me to having a better attitude, because being a young player, I would really struggle in keeping my attitude or keeping myself composed when I would fail, because this game is really hard. So. Yeah, I have a strong mindset, and he really helped me with that.
The Bulldogs' next matchup will be Northwestern tomorrow at 4:30. And that wraps up your Tuesday sports page. Simon Buggs, CTV Sports.
Thanks, Simon. And now for a look at our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight, there's a chance of showers with a low of 66. And Wednesday, a slight chance of showers before 2 p.m., but otherwise mostly sunny. Temps will rise to 80 and fall to 58.
On Thursday, keep your sunglasses and sunscreen handy, as there will not be, I'm told, a cloud in the sky with a high of 80 degrees, low 57. Friday, mostly sunny with a chance of showers in the evening and a high of 78 and a low of 55. And now our community calendar. The D.C. boat show is pulling into National Harbor this weekend. There will be live music, food, drinks, and boats, of course. You can meet boaters from local and faraway ports of call.
Takes place May 3rd through 5th, starting at 10 in the morning. So for more information, visit dcboatshows.com. And that wraps up CTV News for now. I'm Mariah Jalad.
And I'm Byron Scott. Join us tomorrow for more news. Have a great evening. Good night.
Maryland's primary election is May 14th.
And there's still time for you to plan your vote.
If you're planning to vote by mail, your ballot must be postmarked or dropped in a designated drop box by May 14th.
If you're planning to vote in person on Election Day, polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
You'll be able to cast your vote as long as you're in line by 8 p.m.
Find your local polling place and ballot drop-off location at vote.md.gov/vote2024.